Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Holt from Exodus and formerly from Slayer, and you're listening to The Razor's Edge.
Joe, welcome to the Razor's Edge.
Thank you. Good to be here.
It's great to have you, to be honest. So before we talk about the new Orange Goblin album, I just want to jump
Sure.
back in time to before the days of the band. How did you first
Right.
get into heavy music?
How did I first get? Oh, man, I'm the weird one in the band that didn't really grow up on heavy metal music. I grew up listening to the blues, listening to the Beatles, all those kind of 60s, kind of 70s albums. I'm just a 60s, 70s kind of boring freak. And it wasn't until I met Martyn and Ben that they kind of introduced me to that heavy stuff. At the time, it was kind of Pantera and Iron Maiden, all those kind of proper classic
Yeah,
and heavy metals of the day. And then we found a common ground in Black Sabbath, like a lot of bands from our genre did. Black Sabbath came around, and it was just like, wow, what is this? So really, Black Sabbath was the thing that kind of gelled us together, made us want to form a band, and kind of go from there.
yeah. It's a good common ground, especially with the sound you've got. Um,
Yeah,
um, and you've been with Orange Goblin since the beginning, and other
yeah,
than Pete leaving back in the early 2000s, it's been a pretty much solid, unmovable lineup. So when
sure.
Martyn decided to step away from the band, how did you
Yeah.
feel about that?
Well, I mean, we didn't want Martin to go, of course. We were kind of grabbing on it, please, please don't leave. But Martin's, goes back from the beginning. So
Yeah,
number one, he's just a true, proper great mate.
yeah,
And he gave us 2 years warning. He said, right, we've got all these tours lined up at the time. We've got, things happening. So we were, we were busy 2 years ahead. So he said, when we've done that in 2 years, I'm out of here. I'm leaving.
yeah,
He just, he'd had enough. It's more, it wasn't to do with he's had enough of the band or the playing. It was just the time off to do tours. Because, we all have day jobs. Because he gave us that 2 years, it kind of took the edge off. It wasn't like, I'm leaving next week and, that's it.
yeah,
So we had a lot of time to process it. And he was the one that sort of suggested Harry join the band to replace him, because we've known Harry since the beginning as well. Harry goes right back with us. He coined the phrase "Orange fucking Goblin baby." That was Harry's idea. So he was like our number one choice. But we didn't think Harry would want to join just because he's just so busy with his other
yeah,
projects. But yeah, he did. So we were lucky to get him. And Martin's over the moon because
yeah,
he's got, we've got Harry in, and Martin's still very much part of the band. Whenever we've got a little WhatsApp group, Martin's on that all the time. We speak pretty much every day via text. We don't do phone calls anymore because that's what the old fashioned people do, right? But yeah, so we're in contact constantly. And I know Ben lives very close to Martin, so it's he sees him more than I do.
Oh.
But yeah,
It,
it's all
it,
good.
it's good to hear that you're still in touch with Martyn, and Martyn's still active because he used to be very active on social media as well, and I used to have regular interactions with Martyn, but that's sort of
Yeah,
waned in the last few years. But yeah, it's good to see here he's still about. And
yeah.
obviously you've answered my next question about Harry. So was there ever a point where you thought, actually, without Martyn, I don't want to carry on, or was it always we'll find someone to replace
Oh
Martyn?
yeah. I mean, I think we said a few before, Martin was deciding to leave. We always had this thing that any one of us leaves, that's it, end of the band. We're a kind of little unit. So if anyone left, we'll call it a day. And I think, when Martin, I think he had that in mind leading up to telling us that he wanted to leave. So one of the first things he wanted to make clear is like, you're not allowed to stop. Even if I go, you're not allowed to stop. We said, but we said, he goes, no, I don't care. You can't stop.
Yeah,
I want you to carry on. I just don't want to do it anymore. So yeah, so that's kind of why we're still going. And it was because he made us. We weren't allowed to stop. Martin kind of he said, "You've got to carry on. I just don't want to do it." And that's why he thought about it. And Martin's just the loveliest guy, so he knew that we probably wanted to carry on as well.
yeah.
So we made it easy for us to do so.
Yeah, that's good, and it's good for the fans that you've actually been able to carry on, and it wasn't. Well, it was the end of an era, but it wasn't the end of Orange Goblin.
Sure.
So, back in the present day, then your latest album, Science Not Fiction, gets released July 19th on Peaceville.
Sure.
I've had it on repeat for pretty much 2 weeks now, and it's
Wow.
currently topping the album of the year chart for me. So, how
Oh,
happy are you with this album?
sorry, mate.
How happy are you with the album?
Oh, we're absolutely over the moon with it. It's I mean, 6 years is a long time to not do anything, so we had to make something that was good. And I think we've surprised ourselves with this one because it's come together so well. And having Mike on board as well has just really given us that kick we needed. And he's just such a lovely guy to work with, as well as obviously his work record with producing albums. So the sound of it, the songs have come together. Ben's on just another planet at the moment with his health and everything, and that's come across with his lyrics. I think he's just in a really good place, and I think we all are. We're all in a. Harry's been in the band, I think, 2 years now. Again, I could be wrong because my memory is terrible, but so he's part of the band. He's not the new kid on the block anymore. He's actually part of the band, so he put a lot of input into the album as well, and it's just come together. It took a while, I must admit, when we first because being with Peaceful as well, we've been incredibly patient with us. We had this pressure that we've got to do this album, and normally when you start, well, for us, when we start to think about doing an album, it's a bit of a slow burner. But once we got the riffs and things together, it just came together really nicely, and it was fun to make.
Yeah, and in the review that I've written for this, I've said the album sounds absolutely huge, and the production's probably the best I've heard on an Orange Goblin album. So obviously, you mentioned Mike and you brought Mike in, but what went into making the album sound as big as it does?
I mean, again, this is really just down to Mike. He just knows what he's doing. I mean, look at his track record, the Judas Priest stuff he's done, the Sabbath stuff, Heaven and Hell. We kind of knew that he was not going to let us get away with not making a really great heavy album. And for me personally, with the guitars, I'd come in with my little setup, which I always do. It's just a Marshall amp and my pedal board. And Mike came in and said, no, we're going to change things up a little bit. So he bought a load of amps in, he loaded just loads of pedals. And, he just put his heart and soul into it. The same with the drums and the bass. He just got everything down exactly the way he wanted it. And it was funny, I'd be playing away and Mike would suddenly say, stop, I've got an idea. And he'd run down to the pedal board and he, like a mad scientist, would start connecting different pedals together. And just, he knew, I knew what sound I wanted. He knew how to get it. And then he added a bit more Mike Exeter on top. The magic sprinkles of Mike Exeter was sprinkled all over the album. So, yeah, the sound really is, just down to him not giving up until we got exactly what he wanted. And even it meant me just kind of sitting there playing an E chord for 45 minutes to an hour until he said, right, I've got the sounds. So it was, it's fascinating to watch him work, to watch someone of that caliber working and see how his mind works.
So do you try and replicate that live now? You said you're mixing up pedals and boards and amps and things like that in the studio. Do you bring that on tour with you as well?
We haven't had so many gigs since the album, and the gigs we have had have been mainly abroad. So not yet. At the moment, I'm still sticking with my little setup because I'm comfortable with it. It's a different thing. An album sound and a live sound is different. Yeah. But I am kind of looking in the pedal catalog and the amp catalog, and I might have to purchase a few new things going forward because we've got a busy year and we've got a busy year next year. So things could change. But
fantastic. So the style of music on this record, I think it's more rock orientated, moving a little away from that stoner rock, especially those early albums, Frequencies from Planet 10 and Time Traveling Blues. It's more rock than stoner rock these days. But how intentional was that you're moving in a more classic rock direction?
I don't know really. I don't think we have ever kind of music-wise. I know Ben, has themes running through a lot of the albums with the lyrics, but musically, I don't think we ever really intentionally say, right, we want to make a rock album or we want to make a punk album.
Yeah.
It's just what comes together and what we've got, and it just kind of works out that way. I think when we did Wolf Bites Back, our intention with that one was to be more kind of, we wanted that to be more of a live album, so it was, you know, pretty straightforward rocking. This one is as well. The only difference is, I guess we wanted to add I know it's different to what, like you say, the Frequencies album, but we wanted to add a few more weird textures and keyboards, so almost the opposite of the Wolf Bites Back, where we wanted to add a little, like, Chris brought his mood in, so we wanted to experiment a little bit with sound and just kind of have a bit more fun and maybe push the boundaries a little bit, you know, with what we can do and kind of push ourselves. But it wasn't necessarily intentional. It just kind of went that way. Where if in the past I might have come up with an idea, or Chris or someone would say, "What about this?" And we go, "Oh no, that's too tricky." This time they said, "Let's give it a go. What we got to lose?" You know, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's an element of maturity. We all mature our what we like to listen to, and obviously as a musician, what you like to produce, and I think that goes into the development of a sound of any band. I think, and you're not 20 years old anymore, and the sound that you're producing is different, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. But also, you know, we're still going back to what we said at the beginning. That Sabbath kind of thread is just constantly running through everything we do. And as I said before, Ben and Chris, obviously Harry's just joined, but me, Ben and Chris and Martyn, slightly different musical tastes. So I've come more for that kind of 70s rock. If I had my way, the album would sound like 10cc, you know, but obviously, probably luckily, I didn't get my way. So Chris is the punk guy, Ben and Martyn were always metal, and so is Harry. So we just always just kind of stewing the pot and seeing what comes out, and anything goes kind of thing, really.
Fair enough. You mentioned Harry, and obviously it's his first album. How much of an input does Harry have on the writing process now?
Well, the Cemetery Rats, that's pretty much all Harry's kind of idea. That's Harry's riffs that you come in. The new one, Fire at the Center of the Earth, that's pretty much all Harry with a little Chris riff in the middle. So I didn't do hardly anything on that, just wrote a solo. So yeah, he's been, I think when we got in to start recording or start writing, I think Harry was kind of holding back a little bit. But, you know, we kept saying, "Come on, I know you've got ideas," because we know how talented he is. So he pushed his ideas through towards the end, and yeah. So they're the two proper Harry bangers that you know are on the album. But there's lots of other, you know, there's bits we collaborate all the time and put little bits here and there, and so yeah, he's fitting like an old glove, really. Harry, it's like he's always been there.
Well, he's been around for so long, and we've obviously seen him in all of his other bands as well. Just talking about that stoner rock label, and this is something I talk about with Matt Noble from Aluna quite a lot. Is that it's very much a blues inspired sound, stoner rock, yet mainstream like media, radio stations, Planet Rock, etc., often overlook the genre completely. And I think they've got a request hour on Planet Rock, I'm texted in, play some Orange Goblin, and they never play it. So how much do you think that the stigma around the label stoner rock stops bands like yourselves, Aluna and other bands from actually getting more mainstream airplay?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it does kind of, maybe radio stations do think, oh, it's a stoner rock band. Oh no, we won't bother with them. So yeah, I think you're right. I never really thought of it like that, but yeah, there have been times where we thought, why aren't they playing us on the radio? You know, we're all right. And I think it might be something to do with that. Who knows? You do get labeled and set into little genres, and if it's not the fashion of the day, then I guess it is easy to get overlooked because someone's going to say Orange Goblin, stoner rock. Oh, yeah. The kids don't want to hear that, even if we don't sound stoner rock anymore. Whatever stoner rock is, you know, to me, it's all just good music. But I think you're onto something there, Tim. I think it's not fashionable to be called stoner rock anymore. So those kind of places are just we'll have to change our name to something else. I don't know what.
And do you hope this album will help you break through to the mainstream more? It certainly sounds from the sound of the album, it's so much bigger and rockier. Do you think it will help you break through?
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, thanks to you, like great reviews like yourself that have done for the Razor's Edge. Just really appreciate when we read that. That was lovely. So yeah, if we can get a few more of those, that'd be great. But yeah, like I say, we've got nothing against stoner rock or the actual music. Stoner rock is brilliant. I still love it. It's just you're right with kind of your label with something, and it's hard to get away from a label. But it's a shame because the music's great. Stoner rock music is brilliant, and it's kind of I think it's just not fashionable to be in a stoner rock band, so it's overlooked.
Yeah,
keep listening to stoner rock, guys. It's good stuff.
Absolutely. And you think it's where Queen of the Stone Age actually started, and obviously you toured on that first tour with Queen of the Stone.
Yeah.
They're all over mainstream media, but their origins are exactly the same as yours. If you look at it, especially their company, essentially. So it's not too far. It can happen.
I think they had a couple of big hits, didn't they? They got what was the two songs that they had that really kind of pushed them? The Drugs one.
Yeah.
What was that called? Hit of the Summer, whatever that was. But I think they broke free because they had a couple of real kind of monster hits that just kind of broken through. So yeah, I mean it can be done. And if you want to. And a lot of bands, kind of ourselves included, never set out to be a big band. We just wanted we liked the scene that we were in, especially back in the day when it was all stoner rock. It was nice to be. It was like a little gang, so it was kind of uncool to be out with it. But now I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind to kind of whatever. As you get older, anything goes.
Yeah. So as the reviews of this album come in, and Ask went out earlier this week, and you'll get more in over the next few weeks as well. Do you actually pay attention to what people have to say about the album?
Yeah, we do. I think I'd be lying if I said, "Oh, I don't care what people say," because you do take it on board, and you are nervous when you see a review come through and you haven't opened it yet. It's God, are they going to be kind to us? Are they going to hate it? So I think it, and maybe it matters in the way that if you do get a load of bad reviews, maybe you take it on board and think, well, one, it's one person reviewing you, so you can take it two ways. Well, it's only that one guy that doesn't like it, or you can kind of learn from it and think, well, okay, maybe we can do something different next time.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it doesn't matter as much to me as it used to. I kind of used to be a bit, they're nice. No, as we've got a bit older, I think we're less inclined to be downhearted about a review because we're doing what we want to do. 30 years on, we're not expecting to be the next Queen, So as long as we keep in the proper Orange Goblin fans happy, and we're not straying too far from that shit, I think we're in good stead.
Oh, I think this album does it completely. I think as someone who has followed you from the very beginning, it's the best album you've done. It's not my favorite because I always go back to those first two, but it is by far the best album you've done. It's a great album.
Thanks, man.
So you mentioned you've got a busy rest of the year and into next year. So what are your plans for that time?
Well, it's summer, so it's festival season. So at the moment, it's we're off to Norway this weekend coming. I don't know when this is being aired, but we're in June at the moment, and it's pretty much festivals all through the summer. When we get to more importantly, we've got the two album launch shows which are happening. Again, depending on when this is aired, they may have happened already. But,
it's going out next week, so it'll be in the future.
Right, okay, that's cool. So we've got the Brudenell Social Club in Leeds, which is on the 18th, and that's that's in collaboration with Crash Records. So come down to that one. If you're around the area, that's going to be a real fun show. And then the next day we're in London with our Signature Brew beer Signature Brew are a company that have kindly made an Orange Goblin beer for us. So we're doing the next show on the 19th, and the day the album's released. Here at the brewery in Walthamstow. So that's going to be messy. And then so it's festivals through the summer. In October we've got the little UK tour, and that's pretty much it for the year. And then into next year, we're still working on ideas because it's our 30th year anniversary.
Yes.
So it's going to be a lot of stuff happening next year.
Excellent. Yeah, and we'll be there in Wolverhampton, I think, right at the start of your tour in October. So we're looking forward to that.
Oh, great.
Last question for you today, then. When you're away from the band, how do you unwind? How do you relax?
When I'm not with a band, I'm very, 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 very normal. I've got 3 kids, I've got a cat and a dog. So that's not how I unwind. That's just me being away from the band. Basically, I become normal again, and I'm just dad, husband. I get nagged at, and I get pushed around by the kids. Yeah. So I come into this little place where I am now, which is my garage, which is out the back, and it's my little man cave. So this is the place I come to kind of just chill out and write some ideas down, practice the guitar, have a couple of glasses of wine every now and again, so this is my chill out area. But away from the band, it's normal life until we get together, and then it's Joe Goblin cap comes on literally sometimes.
Well, Joe, it's been a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you, Tim.
Science Not Fiction is out on July the 19th via Peaceville, and obviously you're on tour around the UK in October as well, so we'll see you then. I'm looking forward to it, and I wish you all the best with this album.
Thanks, Tim. Lovely to speak to you, mate. All the best. Cheers.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you keep up to date with all of our interviews by subscribing to our channel. For all the latest news, reviews, interviews, and more, head over to our website, www.therazorsedge.rocks.